What is up, YouTube? I'm Tom from Tech Time, and here at Tech Time, I bring you all your tech all the time. So if that's something that interests you, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with my weekly content. Today, we have the full review on the Nuu Mobile G3. There's actually an updated model right now. It's called the G3 Plus, but we're not talking about that one. That one does come in at $199. This one right here, which was originally $199, is now $179. I think that's pretty impressive for what you're getting here. You know, everything is not roses and sunshine here. You know, there is going to be some little quirks and things like that, but you got to factor in the price point. So I just want to let you guys know that I am filming right now on the rear camera, 1920 by 1080p. So we have full HD resolution. There is no stabilization of any sorts, but this is on a tripod on my desk, so it should be pretty stable. Also recording the audio with the internal mic. So like I said, I'm going to get into my full review today. I've had the phone for about 2 months, I'd say, maybe a little bit longer. I've used it on and off. I've had it for a couple weeks on, a couple weeks off, as I've been testing some other products and some other smartphones. So I've definitely kept it in the mix, and I think it's really a good budget level and entry level smartphone. At $179, you know, there's a lot of options out there, but I think Nuu Mobile is really aggressively packing in features and things like that to try to lure in some people. You know, and I think they're doing a good job of it. Comes with, you know, good amount of specs. You get the MediaTek Helio P25 processor, which is on par, but a little bit behind the Snapdragon 625. You're getting dual cameras on the rear, front-facing camera. You're getting a fingerprint sensor. You get face unlock. A whole slew of things that you got going on in the smartphone. So, like I said, we're going to get into all of them right now. I'll kick it over to the desk so we can take a look at the phone and go over everything. Okay guys, so let's get into the full review. Let's take a look at the phone as we talk about some of the specs. Right here you have a 5.7-inch 1440 by 720 display. Look at that, LCD. Turn it around, you have a glass back. And if you remember the Galaxy S9 of last year, this will definitely remind you of that. You have a dual camera setup with your fingerprint sensor underneath and a flash. You have your new branding right there. Down on the bottom, you have a single firing bottom speaker. You have USB Type-C charging, and then you have another speaker grill, but it actually houses the internal microphone. And there is some inconsistencies, like where the edges lead up. I don't know if you can see that, but a little bit of inconsistencies. Overall, though, it's a nice looking phone. Up top, you have your SIM card slot with your micro SD card. Also, you can put up there up to 128 gigabytes. So this phone has, like I said earlier, the Helio P25 processor. I do wish it had the Snapdragon 625, but it doesn't. You get 4 gigabytes of RAM, 64 gigabytes of onboard storage. Not bad. The dual cameras that we'll get into later, 3,000 milliamp hour battery, no water resistance or anything like that. But overall, you know, for 179 bucks, those specs aren't too bad. So first we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about some of the hardware like we just did, the design. Like I said, it pretty much looks like a Galaxy S9. If you didn't know and you've seen it real quick, it looks like a Galaxy S9. It's a sharp looking phone. They have a lot of nice colors, so they offer some, you know, some good options. Did come with a clear case. I'll throw the clear case on right now just because it's a little easier to mess around with. The phone is kind of slippery, so that's something that I like to put on because the phone itself is just a little slippery, and it seems like some edge things, you can catch the edges on it a little bit. There is nearly, you know, very thin bezels on the side, but then you do have the top and bottom chin and forehead, which, you know, houses your front-facing camera, your sensors, your flash, and then also your earpiece. So going on from there, the display. It's a 1440 by 720 resolution display, and overall the display is pretty good. It's a little blurry, you know, it is lower resolution LCD. The main problem that I see with the display is it's an actual rectangle display, but they tried to make it look high-end by cutting the corners right here, so it looks more rounded, but it just has kind of like a weird wonky look to it. I wish they didn't do that and they just kind of left it rectangular, but they wanted to try to make it seem a little bit more modern, I think, and rounded corners, but it's actually not rounded corners. It just kind of has like these black cutoffs around it. So it's kind of disappointing, that right there. But, you know, at the price point, the display isn't all that bad. I've seen worse displays at this price point. So going on from there, let's talk about the software. This runs nearly stock Android, and it's running Android Oreo right now. In between, you know, things like this, I've turned the animations down to 0.5. You go into developer settings and you turn the animations down. And I've also slapped Nova Launcher on it. And overall, the software's been okay for me. You got Google Photos. You got a lot of the Google apps on here. Not too much bloat at all. Very minimal. I put some T-Mobile things on because I use T-Mobile on here. Right now, I don't have a SIM card. I'm just running it over Wi-Fi. But I have run it on the T-Mobile network. I've gotten really good download speeds. Upload speeds are average. But overall cell service, beautiful. Volt, voice over LTE, works no problem at all. And this is a GSM unlocked phone, so you can use it with AT&T, T-Mobile, you know, Mint Mobile, Metro PCS, Cricket, things like that. So it's a good option for people that are using their phones on those other networks. I think, you know, it really comes in pretty good. But overall, the software's been good. Just a couple small hiccups before I turned the animations down. It kind of seemed like it got bogged down. But I've been able to run, you know, multiple apps, go into YouTube. It loads up a little bit. But overall, does a good job. Obviously, this thing isn't any speed racer. It's not going to win any awards for being the fastest phone, that's for sure. But you can bounce in between your social medias, things like that, and not have too many issues. You know, it is going to take a second or a second and a half to open up some of these apps, but overall, you know, they load up and you can go through them. You can send out a tweet, type things using Gboard, you know, no problems. So overall, the software is good. Like I said, it's just not the quickest, and I think that's the processor, not so much the software. The software is quick. I think the processor, the P25, you know, just kind of slow in some areas. But overall, again, at $179, you can scroll through Instagram and get on all your social medias, do your emails, do things like that, watch video, and not really have too many issues. The thing, for the most part, hasn't, you know, froze any apps, haven't shut down anything or any forced restarts or anything of the sort. It's been pretty good in that aspect. For me, you know, I didn't load it up with all the apps that I use on like my flagship phones. My flagship phones, I got like 200 apps on it. This one I have, I don't know, maybe 40 or so. I did change the icon pack to the Pixel icon pack, but, you know, I like it. So let's check the difference, you know, in displays. I don't know if you can see it on camera. This one's definitely more saturated. This is definitely, you know, kind of muted and blurrier. It's definitely not as high quality as this 1080p. This is the Samsung Galaxy S10e, which has the best displays on the market, Samsung phones, you know. But, you know, overall, this phone has worked well for those aspects software-wise. I think it does what it needs to do. Connectivity, like I said, Bluetooth is okay on this phone. The voice over LTEs worked fine. All my cell service has been good. I did just recently get an update, and I think it was just a security update, but it did help my Bluetooth. I was getting some connection issues with my Bluetooth, like when I was connected to headphones and things like that, but I haven't had those issues since. It has only happened to me about 3 times probably, and I haven't had it happen since, and I've been using it since I've gotten the update a few days ago, and I haven't had it drop once on me. So hopefully it stays, you know, working pretty good like that. The camera, you have a dual camera setup on the back. You have a 13 megapixel and a 5 megapixel, and the 5 megapixel is there for pretty much for depth. You have a front-facing 13 megapixel camera, and, you know, the cameras are probably the weakest point of the phone. Let's see if we can snap this real quick. Boom, take a look at it. It's not bad. It boosts the saturation a lot, but you can hit the edit button right there, and it edits in Google Photos, so you can change the light, you know, change the color if you want, make it pop more, make it pop less. So there's actually some pretty good editing through the Google Photo app, and, you know, it gives you some pretty good options. And overall, you can get a pretty decent photo out of this. You get video, full 1080p. There's no stabilization. You have a portrait mode on it, which works, you know, fairly well. Let's see if we can take a look at the portrait mode I shot right here. It's actually not too bad for what it is. Well lit. If you get into, you know, darker lit situations, it's going to be pretty terrible. You get a beauty mode. which I wouldn't use. You get panorama mode. You get a monochrome mode, which actually I've seen it work pretty good. And then you have a pro mode, which you can change the white balance, the ISO, the focus, and then your compensation and things like that. So that works pretty good. HDR on and off. I notice with HDR on, it takes much longer to process. So if you get any type of handshake or if your subject moves at all, it's not going to be a pretty looking shot at all. So let's switch it around to the front facing camera. Boom. Just a quick shot. Not too bad. Let's see if we can go into some of the shots I took, I think, a couple days ago. So not that bad. You know, it does boost the saturation, but you get, you know, you can come in and auto tweak it if you want, go back to the original. You can also, you know, change the light, the exposure. So overall, you know, being able to edit that quick at Google Photos is pretty cool. And on the front, you get video mode, 720p, beauty mode, monochrome mode. And, you know, pretty much for the cameras, they're meant for the average consumer. You're not going to get, you know, crazy quality video. It's just, it is what it is. Photos, I think you can get decent capable stills out of it. And for $179, are there other options on the market that have better cameras? I would probably say the Motorola G series line and the Honor phones definitely have better cameras. It's definitely, you know, a strong suit of theirs. But Nuu Mobile, the cameras are definitely probably one of the weakest points. Battery life on this has been really good. I've gotten upwards of like 9-10 hours of screen on time sometimes because of the low resolution screen. It's got 3,000 milliamp hour battery. And that's kind of just really, you know, watching video a lot, not using a lot of other things. But on like an average day use, I could probably get almost 2 days out of this using it averagely. So for the average consumer, I think this is going to be a pretty good option for battery life. You're not going to have to worry about throwing it on the charger. When you do throw it on the charger, it charges, you know, decently quick, not lightning fast by any means, but it gets topped off. You know, you go in, you take a shower, do a couple things, you're going to gain 40%, and you'll be all right. You'll be good for the night because this thing, like I said, gets really good battery life. So overall, I've been, you know, pretty impressed with the phone for $179. I don't review a lot of budget phones, so, you know, I might be skewed. It's been a while since I've used a whole ton of budget phones, but coming from these flagship phones, I can say that I've used this for a couple weeks without using my flagship phones, and I was okay with it. Did I miss some features? Yes. I like taking pictures and videos. I definitely didn't get the pictures and videos out of this that I would like. You know, and that is an issue, but this is also, you know, sometimes 5 times less than the other phones that I'm carrying around. So when you know, compare it that way, is it worth it? Yes. For this right here, I think it's going to be perfect for, you know, somebody's father, maybe somebody's mother, maybe a grandmother that has their first phone, or a younger kid, or if you needed a backup phone, you're going on vacation somewhere and you don't need a camera or something, you just want a phone that if something happens to it, it's not going to be a big loss. That would be really good for this. Me right here, I'm actually going to give this phone to my stepfather because he's been going through a bunch of mid-range phones, the LGs that Metro sells because he's on Metro PCS, and I think this is going to be a big upgrade. I had it over there the other day, messing around with it. He was messing around with it, and he was like, wow, this phone is much nicer than some of the phones I've had. I think he had the Samsung J7, the LG something or another that Metro kind of like gives away, the low base model phones. They're like $100, $150 phones. So they say. Most of the time they're really reduced when you sign up or whatever the case may be. But this to me is a big upgrade for him. He's gonna like it. The cameras I think are right on par with what he's been used to, but the battery life will be better. The screen resolution looks nicer to me, and I think, you know, speed wise with the stock Android, no bloat or anything, I think he's gonna really enjoy it. So anyways, I want to wrap it up with that. I think for $179, it's a good buy. I think there are other options out there if you want to get into the Honors or the Motorola lines. You'd have to compare those yourselves and weigh out the pros and the cons. Like I do wish this had the Snapdragon 625 because I think that would really push it over the line and really make it, you know, perform that much better. But like I said, overall performance has been pretty smooth for me. I haven't had any restarts or anything crazy like that. I can get through the social media and do all the things that I think the average person's going to be doing on this phone with no issues. You can video chat, you can take pictures, you can go on Chrome, you can go on to whatever. I have Nova Launcher running on it, so it works for me. I double tap, it brings up my Google Now. Swipe up for Google. It works. It got my app drawer. It does the trick. 179 bucks. I think it's a go for me personally. And like I said, this phone right here is going to my stepfather because Nuu Mobile sent this out for review, and my stepfather's going to enjoy this, man. It's going to be a big upgrade for him. If you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. There will be a link for the Amazon link for this, 179 bucks if you guys are interested. Like I said, if you have any more questions, let me know. And until the next time, guys, I'll catch you later.